Hello, Capricorn, and welcome to your February forecast. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. I hope everybody's doing great. Before we begin, let's say a quick hello to Apollo, who's chilling out behind us. Yes, good boy. All right, thank you, Apollo. Now we can get started. Channeled messages. This is the first part of the reading. This is basically me connecting to Source and bringing through whatever needs to come through. As I meditated, I got the direct message to be very, very proactive and preventative, and to basically not wait for someone to come to you, leading the charge. Let's look at this in a very practical way. When it comes to things like maintenance, it would be preventative maintenance. So in your house, maybe you clean the drain pipes before a storm so you don't have to deal with like a leaky roof. With your car, you check the tire pressure to make sure that you don't get a flat. In your general health and well-being, you go ahead and schedule that annual physical to make sure that you're just keeping an eye on everything. That way, a small problem is easier to fix than something that is kind of blown up out of proportion. So that ounce of prevention is going to save you so much down the line. The other thing here is more like Six of Wands energy, leading. And sometimes being in that leadership role or leading the charge can feel lonely because you're waiting for like feedback and validation. And this is very much about getting ahead of things. The other thing is when we're looking at trying to do things, sometimes the early bird gets the worm. So, if you're feeling called to connect with someone, do something, or act on an intuition, do it. Don't wait, because other people could be getting a very similar message. And it's often the one that is like the most proactive that gets it. Overall, this is a really good message, but why don't we go ahead and shuffle the cards and see what else wants to come through. Please take a moment, close your eyes, and let's clear any sort of thoughts or energy that you're bringing into the reading. In this moment in time, imagine that you are seated in a circle of bright white light. You can imagine the sun shining down overhead. And as you do this, you can invite in angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters. All right, let's get started with your catalyst. All right, the totem in the catalyst is the vulture, which, by the way, gets a bad rap when it comes to totems. Why do we like the vulture? It's resourceful. In nature, it goes out there and cleans up, grabs things, and makes the most out of scraps. So when it comes to your own life, there may be an opportunity to find something that's being underutilized and be resourceful. So the words that they chose to put on here were cycles, opportunity, and distress. The distress part I want to start with. Because this card was reversed, it's saying don't make any major decisions when you're in the energy of grief, stress, distress, anger, anything that's elevated in a sort of a way that kind of takes you out of your cool, calm, and collected way of analyzing things. So sleep on a decision, clear your head first, and then move forward. Vultures take advantage of opportunities that others may not. Sometimes that means that there's a little bit of work to do. So it's like rolling up your sleeves, doing the dirty work, getting things cleared and cleaned, and knowing that by doing that, you're going to have, first of all, a clean foundation to work upon. And sometimes that extra bit of elbow grease is going to get you what you need. So there's perhaps an opportunity in front of you that requires cleanup, because again, I even said that at the beginning, they go in and clean up the scraps. And then the other thing here is cycles, making and breaking cycles, very much Eight of Cups energy. So there's so much to kind of like garner just from this, but it's saying whatever situation you're in, there's an opportunity to be had. You can make it better than you think it is. And if you can get into that clear-headed point of view, you might actually be able to even, do better than you anticipated. It's not just that it's a little bit better than you think, but it could actually be advantageous. There could be a good opportunity attached to it. Okay? So, powerful first message. Let's look at the cards here. I get why the vulture came in. Because on either side of the center cards, we have Death and the Tower. So major shifts, major moves. This is also connected to death and rebirth, cycles of death and rebirth. And so that's what this is. Let's go ahead and just take it card by card. We also have another death and rebirth card here. So this is a significant month for you. At the center, we have Two of Pentacles. Some of you might find that you're between two options, and neither may feel like super compelling. Some of you may be pulled in too many directions and the resources are feeling a little thin. This can also represent a lack of balance, working too much or playing too much. So whichever one of those categories you're in, you have to take a step back and really find your, plant your feet on the ground and find your grounding. One thing to say with the Two of Pentacles at the center is you probably don't want to add anything else into the equation. Typically with this, you want to choose one of those Two Pentacles and focus. That way you won't have to keep doing the balancing act. So that might mean asking for help. It might mean delegating. It might be saying no. Something of that nature will free you up. And that's what we see here too, is there's just, with a tightrope between these two cards, something has to exit out of the equation for you to be able to start to grow. And we do see an evolution going from the Two of Pentacles to the Five of Pentacles is in fact advancement and movement. So don't despair. Also, we have the Star coming through for you. It's a necessary change. Let's look and see what's crossing this. Something very auspicious. The Seven of Wands. Note that right before this is Six of Wands, which is connected to success. So you can successfully manage or get through whatever situation is in front of you. The Seven of Wands sometimes requires a little bit of a push. The traditional card has someone pushing like this. Sometimes we have to fight for what we want, just like the Chariot card. Seven of Wands is sometimes going up to bat and saying, I want this. And you push off the sort of like competition. And ultimately, it's a multitasking card. That's why I'm already looking at the Two of Pentacles saying you probably have one thing too many. So the Seven of Wands is coming through and encouraging you to work smarter by delegating, by prioritizing, by saying no. Not necessarily harder, not burning the candle at both ends. And as long as you do that, I actually feel like you're going to start to level up in your own energy, the resources around you, and also the money that's coming in, okay? Now let's look at your deep past. We have the Queen of Swords here, encouraging you to use your voice, to speak up. Queen of Swords is one of my favorite queens because she comes in and doesn't mince her words. She'll say what she needs to say. She gets in, she gets out. And also she's very action-oriented. She's the queen bee. Look at all the little bees or butterflies buzzing around her. You can speak something into existence. You can also stop someone or something in its tracks just by saying stop or no or what's going on here. Use your voice to your advantage, and especially with respect to what you want. I would like to see more of this, or I would like to see less of that. This is a time where people are looking to you to make a decision. That's why we had the Two of Pentacles at the center. They want to know what your perspective is, and this is a time to really listen and lean into the wonderful insights that you have. Other people can see it. The question here is, do you see it as well? As we take a look at the recent past here, we have the Death card, representing change, movement, transformation, and developments. As I look at this card, the message that comes through is look beyond the moment. Look for the hidden opportunity that is arriving because of this. Sometimes we can't control what other people have chosen to do or environmentally what's going on. We can, however, choose what we want to do as a reaction to that. And here we can see the veil continuing to be pulled back. It's like a doll within a doll within a doll. So as you start to go through the change, you're going to see more options, more opportunities, more than meets the eye, more than there is in the surface. This can be a literal sort of symbol. So there might be something that has exited your life. It can be a job. It might be a physical belonging. It could be a person. There could be an experience or a part of yourself that you feel like you're moving through. And the death card is saying there's more. This, like, the best is yet to come. I always like to think of that when I see this. But the moment of change or chrysalis is sometimes difficult because it involves release. So give yourself a moment. Soak it all in. Look at what's going on and lean into the opportunities that are coming through with this change. A new cycle is upon you. If it isn't here by the time you're looking at this video, by the time the month has come to a close, there should be a significant shift or movement, emotionally, intellectually, environmentally. Something is changing, and there's really an option now to kind of lean into it and say, all right, let's do this. Your crowning card is the Five of Pentacles. Things are starting to move in a good direction when it comes to overall resource management. We're moving from the lack of balance at the center, the Two of Pentacles, to changes and speaking up and movement that you're creating that now is bringing just a little bit more into the equation. But there are still some things that I want to talk about with the Five of Pentacles. The first, of course, is just that this is a break-even card. We've moved up from Two of Pentacles, which is a balancing act, to break even, but I want to get you to the Six of Pentacles. One way that you can do that is by reaching out and asking for help. We see that here. The other one is by looking. So sometimes we feel like we're just stuck in a present situation. This can be Googling something online, talking to someone, getting out there and seeing what's available. There is a feeling of self-confidence that comes through with this card, or lack thereof. It comes from something in the past where an ego might be bruised or someone simply said, you're not enough. This card is reminding you that we see like a church or temple in the background. There's an option for help and safety and growth just around the corner. It just involves sometimes not being too proud, not being afraid of, asking. And with the Queen of Swords in the deep past, that's part of this. This can also be, by the way, advocating and just saying, I'd love to do this, but it's not enough. I can help you if I get this, this, and this. So like if someone's trying to put something on your plate, it's just about kind of like putting out there what's realistic. So for those of you that tend to sometimes overextend, say you're going to help everyone, or people just keep expecting you to do too much, this shows that there's a breaking point. We can see the broken leg there. You don't want to get to the breaking point. So be proactive, circling back to what we were talking about earlier. This is also about healing the inner child. And perhaps for some of you, there was something that happened where someone rejected you or didn't support you. Know that that's often just as much an indication of that person as it is of you. So figure out what your part in it was, but also realize that they're going through some things too, and you don't have to take on the weight and the responsibility all on your own. Now we have the Tower in the near future. So a necessary change. You should be able to see the Tower coming though. It's not like it's right in the middle of the spread. This isn't reversed, but because it's in a future position, you'll notice on any good Tower card, you'll see lightning. So there's usually a flash, then you'll hear a rumble, then the storm comes. So you have one or two opportunities to embrace what's happening. Now, if you're watching this after the Tower's happened, there's another thing you can do. This person could either be clinging to the Tower or they could be deconstructing it. If we lean into the energy of the Vulture, they're actually deciding to go in and say, all right, this needs to come down. This doesn't serve anybody's highest good, but I can take some things and I don't have to start from scratch. So it's not like you're completely at square one. It's just sort of like, this is uncomfortable and I need to get out of it. And that's often what the Tower can represent. Towers run the gamut. Sometimes they're just unexpected. A pregnancy that you didn't expect, but welcome nonetheless. A job opportunity because you're doing great that you also didn't expect, but it might involve juggling your life around a little bit because we even see some people juggling at the center. Are you willing to relocate because this card is connected to relocation? There could be someone that expresses love, but they're moving and you have to decide, do I want to move? Significant big changes, sometimes attached to a very good outcome, sometimes just the universe throwing a curveball because you've been stagnating too long. When the Tower comes, movement is necessary. And the fact that we have bookends at the center here, death and the Tower, you have to decide what it is that you want to keep and what you're going to let go. And no matter what, it's kind of like rolling with the punches. The great news is you're represented by ostensibly the best card in tarot, the Star. Because the Star is connected to source, its authenticity. I had to edit it out a little bit, but she's holding two chalices. So it's saying better things are going to start to come through in your life and also flow through you intuitively. It's a matter of tuning in. So here's a non-edited version of it. So you can see her kind of just trusting in the flow and being present. These are the things that you want to focus on right now. The Star is conspicuous. People are noticing you. They're paying attention to you. This could create positive change and movement in your life. This card is connected with being your true self, with helping others, with being a light in the dark, all of those things. With the Star coming through for you right now, whatever change is going on, I do feel like you could come out of it better than you expect and maybe better than you felt going into it. So chew on that as we go through the reading, and I'll come back to this card as necessary. All right, in the environment, we have our only reversal, a Prince or a Knight of Wands in reverse. So this is saying slow down long enough to look at what's going on. This card is connected to ideas, but also like visuals in your life. Someone could be demonstrating through body language, through how they show up, what they want. And this can sometimes be a stubborn person or someone that's lacking passion. The fact that we have death in the Tower, there could be a relationship that's kind of exiting out or something where it's like, oh, I didn't see all of the warning signs before, but I see them now. Notice that this knight is riding a phoenix. You will get through this and you will be better for whatever this experience is. Someone or something possibly leaving. This is also a chance for you to really lean into your vision. So ideation, new ideas, new sort of passion projects in your life, give them the energy that they need because this is the only one that's a little bit depleted. So I feel like by juggling things around in your life, you'll be able to put more into what you care about. Slow down long enough to explore the opportunities. All right, in hopes, fears, and opportunities, speaking of that, we have Four of Swords. Rising above the situation, getting a bird's eye view. This is one of three significant death cards. Death itself, Four of Wands, Six of Swords. There are more. Judgment also is in that, but each one carries a different level of activation. This one's more passive. So this is saying, this too shall pass, and by the end of the month, there's a peace. So this shows peace, rest, and putting things at rest or to rest. I'm going to pull the traditional card because there's a sepulcher in that, or a coffin, and it shows that by giving yourself a chance to take a break, this is going back to resting yourself, getting vacation, not working yourself to the point of diminishing returns. By doing that, it actually gives you vitality. Here's the fourth sword. So three of the swords are above. That's letting go of sadness or difficulties. And then right below, we have that final sword, which is representing the ability to wake up, have energy, and move on. And so you will do that, but you have to give yourself time and space to deal with some of the changes going on. And then we have a card here showing the process. So this is the card that never gives up. Nine of Wands, we can see, sometimes feels beaten up if you look all the way to the side, but by the end of the experience is upright, stronger, smarter, and more capable. So you can get through this, and you're maybe just 1 or 1.5 steps away from the Ten of Wands, which is finishing something, which is leveling up, which is moving on. Don't give up. Look at how far you've come. Look at how strong you are. Let's expand this and go a little bit deeper into the energies of health, wealth, love, and destiny. We'll start off first with health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. So for health here, we have a really important card and one that's connected to the deep past. So I mentioned communication is key. If something doesn't feel right, talk about it. Talk about it to your partner. So if it's an emotional thing, whoever it is, whether it's your partner, your friend, your parents, whatever, talk to them. And if you can't talk to them, talk to someone. When it comes to your physical body and working with like a doctor, make sure that communication's a two-way street. I have experienced multiple times where doctors don't give you the benefit of the doubt, or they have their own dialogue. They've decided what it is. And so you want to make sure that you're going to one that partners up with you. When I was going through some health challenges last year, I had to go through 3 or 4 different doctors to figure out how to deal with like an infection that was causing some hearing issues and all of that. Ultimately found one that worked with me like a partner, not like really listened to me. And they're like, oh, this is what's going on. This is how we can fix it. Are you ready? And I was like, this is exactly the kind of partnership that I was looking for. Not just putting something on a script and sending me on my way, because it wasn't working otherwise. So find a doctor where communication is a two-way street and they listen to you. And then just in general, the ability to feel heard and seen and appreciated, I feel is going to be really important. And this goes even beyond health, kind of like to the health of the relationships around you. There's so much to unpack here with health. Let's look at this. First and foremost, whatever cycle you might find yourself in, the vulture is saying you can work through this. Stress and distress could be the one thing that's taking you out of your ability to think clearly. So, definitely put some time and energy into that. The 5, I'm sorry, not this one. This one. The 5 of Pentacles sometimes has to do with injuries or previous injuries to your feet. Make sure that you're wearing good shoes. Make sure that you're also watching where you're walking, especially if there's inclement weather. Necessary changes. The Death card can represent a brush with death, like a wake-up call. And the Tower is basically the changes that you're going to make in your life. For some of you, you've been working too much, or there's something out of balance with what you're eating or what you're doing. This is a time to really make sure you have a doctor that you trust and you can communicate with, but to make the changes. And we do see growth and movement from there. I mentioned that. So there's definitely the ability to recover. We can see it here. One thing that might be lacking in your life is quality and quantity of sleep, whether that's due to stress or something that's going on while you're sleeping. Sometimes you have to go to a sleep lab or, talk to a specialist in that area to figure that out. The Tower, it's not quite in the environment, but it can show that for some of you, you need to clear out the space in which you live. There could be dust. There could be just something that's not kind of like helping general health and well-being. The Tower can also represent a lack of order, a lack of routine. And so if you need to improve all things from exercise to nutrition to general, preventative maintenance, we talked about that, going to a doctor. Now is the time for all of that. This is a mention, like we have communication. So checking out the throat chakra, that can be tonsils, thyroid, upper spine, and all of the stuff in between, esophagus, etc. Just make sure that you're taking care of that part of your body. When it comes to physical fitness, there is a chance actually to significantly make some great strides in that direction. 7 of Wands gets a little bit ambitious, so make sure that you don't strain or pull a muscle. And I believe that's pretty much everything. So let's go ahead and move on now to wealth, which is resources, life purpose, and career. And as we look at the oracle card for this, you received a message from Archangel Chamuel, and it says relationship assignments. So not to confuse things, we are looking at wealth, but you have relationships at work, how you connect with your boss, how you work with your coworkers, how you work with clients and other people outside of the company. So relationship assignments, no one crosses your path by chance. Choose to see the deeper reasons for the people in your life. One thing that I actually did pick up on in dreams, but I paid it no mind until now, was just I was looking at emails. I was watching an old boss type an email, and I have no connection with this boss anymore. So this is for you. I want you to pay attention to what's being said, because if something gets ignored, that could cause a need to kind of have to go in and talk to your boss. Also, if they just tend to be, because it seemed like they weren't listening to me. I was present, but they weren't listening. So if you're unclear and you're asking a question, try to find a time in the schedule where their attention was undivided, because they seemed very, very tuned out. We need to make sure both people are on the same page, that emails are being validated maybe with a quick checkup in like, hey, I just got your email. I have a question, or I just wanted to follow up on this. sometimes if you just keep doing the emails, things get lost. And then this is really, really powerful. So I remember, this is a long time ago, 15, 20 years ago, but I was in a job, didn't love it, had some challenges with some coworkers and even a boss. And I talked to an intuitive coach and they said, this has to do with you. They're reflections of things that you need to be working on. So rather than feeling that sense of, sometimes you're like, I hate this person or they're driving me crazy, think instead, what are they reflecting to me? Do I need better boundaries? Should I have better communication? What is it that I can do to kind of like counter that? Because if that behavior is showing up, maybe there's something I can do to make sure that I'm exhibiting and modeling behavior that is the antithesis of that. And then usually class is dismissed and you start to attract better relationships. Okay, let's just break this down more specifically into some subcategories. We'll start off for those of you that are presently employed. There are changes afoot. So the Death card and the Tower either represent the environment and the what's going on in the greater world or financial markets, or it can be your company. The Tower is typically a takeover or a merger or a boss exiting out. So the Death card and the Tower could be someone retiring, being made redundant or quitting or being fired. And this doesn't necessarily have to be you. It could be changes in the environment overall. Some of you are feeling like you're stagnating. And in order to break that stagnation, you have to be, in the best way possible, opportunistic. Seize the moment, speak up and say, hey, I'm interested in making a change. A conversation can bring about an end to stagnation and a necessary change, put you in the spotlight in the best way possible, and allow you to feel more energy. Some of you are ready to quit, and I see it here. And if you are ready to quit, it's good to know that. Make sure that you take a moment to assess the job landscape so that you can land on your feet. It could take a month or two to find something, so make sure that you have that option in the back pocket before you give your final notice. I think one thing that's lacking right now is either the support that you need. So some of you are doing the job of two people, or some of you are qualified, but you're not getting recognized. So speak up. Make sure that it's not always easy, but at the, whatever they're called at your company, but the performance reviews, the annual reviews, come in with a list of things that you've done, and tie it to tangible facts. I put this work into this project, which resulted in this outcome, which made you this much money, and put it all together and make a case for yourself. These are two formidable cards. She's speaking from the truth, and this is the recognition that follows. So you can make the change happen, but you might have to speak up because it seems like for some of you, your present employer may be just distracted like I saw. They were sitting there typing but not paying attention to you, okay? But it's time to make some changes, either in how much you're working, where you're working, what your title is, and my big piece of advice is don't jump out of the situation if you're looking for a new job until you have something in your back pocket. Most of these things would be out of your control, but you would see it coming. Like I said, lightning and thunder. You'll hear it at the water cooler. You'll get some sort of a murmur of a change, and then it happens. Okay. Moving on to entrepreneurs. You can leverage the change in the market and the world right now by offering something that is transformative and unique, or waiting until the dust settles before you really start something new. When it comes to general money and resources in a new venture, you probably are going to need an outside investor to make this work. Can you find it? Probably. But I'm getting that this could take up to 4 weeks for some of you to find, for the dust to settle. So you want to do the sort of getting out the magnifying glass or the telescope and looking to make sure that you see the entire landscape. Don't underestimate things. You need a little more contingency, possibly before a launch. I do feel very, optimistic about what it is that you're trying to put out there, but resources, you need more, at least 10 to 20% more. And for the timeline, it's not going to land at this present moment, but about a month from now, I think things are much more optimistic in that perspective. Okay? If you're job seeking, it is challenging. I can see there hasn't been a lot. Also, some people are flaking and not getting back to you. There might be one option on the table, but it's not the highest salary. So what you have to do is kind of figure out, how urgent it is. You could make it work with this, but it's tight. If you can wait, and if you're willing to relocate, because the Tower is definitely a card of moving, then things could be good. Or even realign to which career path you're looking at. That could help as well. Fight for what it is that you want. Advocate. Continue to follow up. The early bird gets the worm. So the minute you see a job posting, go for it. And if you haven't heard back, do the follow-up. And then you can also go outside of those traditional realms. Talk to people that you know. I don't think anybody really knocks on the door with a resume anymore, but whatever the modern equivalent is, a DM, or reaching out to someone at the company that might know of something, that might work too. You're going to have to be a little bit inventive because the current sort of like landscape could be frustrating. So you'll have to be bold, speak up, and reach out to people that are movers and shakers and work with them instead. All right, students, you need to take a break. I really feel like for many of you with the Four of Swords, there's a lot going on. You could be feeling overwhelmed because of what's going on in your life, in the world, or your schedule's too intense. In this case, you want to talk to a counselor. I do think you can work through this, but you either need a couple days of rest or you need some good counsel and advice on how to restructure things. The Tower card in education usually involves one of maybe three things. One is that you want to make a difference in the world. So you don't like some things that are happening and you're like, I'm going to use my skills in communication and maybe I'm going to be a reporter, or I'm going to use my love for political science and go into politics, or I'm going to take my ability to heal people and work in parts of the world that are impoverished and use my skills there. So it can be that kind of thing. I'm going to change the world, right? But it can also represent in your school, maybe it's disorganized. Maybe you're feeling scattered at the moment. If you need a tutor, get a tutor. You can work through this, but something's feeling overwhelming and it's kind of making you close down. So in that situation, work with a tutor. If you need to drop a class, it's not going to be the end of the world. I had to do it maybe once or twice in my undergraduate career, just once. And one time it was just because, no, twice, I take it back. One time it was because I had too many credit hours and it wasn't a big deal. I did it within the time limit, so it didn't count. Another time it was because the class didn't accurately portray the level of difficulty. And I think I was like maybe 3 or 4 weeks in and they said, well, it'll show that you withdrew from it, but it won't affect your GPA. I said, I'm fine with that. So both times I did it, it was for the right reasons and my GPA was better for it. And so was my mental health. So if you're feeling that there's too much, or you feel like something isn't structured or organized correctly, students, then it's time to speak with someone that can help you out and you can navigate it. This too shall pass. You're in a good light with the Star card. The 9 of Wands literally is a bouncing back energy. So just address this and you'll be okay. All right. Now looking at retirees, the bouncing back energy is what I want to see. So for some of you, there might have been a really big shift. Some of you might be recently, you find yourself a widowed person or a widower. I hate those words, but let's say newly single or decoupled, maybe divorcee. And it's like, I need to find my own version of myself. So you're going deeper into healing energy, and the healing can be through exercise, therapy, art, travel, whatever you need to do for personal discovery. There's also parts of the world and you're like, this isn't what I signed up for. Maybe the place that you're living, maybe just the world in general. And you're like, I need to figure out how I can find some peace and happiness right now, because the Four of Swords is peace. It feels like a trip, a vacation, or some personal time for yourself is on the sort of like agenda here. I'm not seeing a lot of time with friends and family. It really does feel like it's an introspective moment. If everything's good in your life, these two cards are great. This is a deepening of your spiritual connection. This one is writing things down, learning new things, maybe using your voice to help others, be a motivational speaker or an advisor or a mentor to someone else. All right, let's take a look at love and relationships. We have a reversal here, spirit talker and communication. It keeps coming up. So like I said, it came through in the health area and now we're seeing it in the love area, because healthy relationships and health in general, they definitely go hand in hand. So speak to someone clearly, share your thoughts, share your hopes, like get it out on the table. If you can't speak to someone freely and clearly, you have to kind of look and think, what is it that's holding me back, or what is it that kind of is keeping cotton in the ears with them? Is this the right match for me at this moment in time? Okay, let's look at this from a few perspectives. If you're currently partnered, changes are afoot. So if you've been in a relationship for a while and it isn't yet exclusive, the Death card and the Tower are saying, let's talk about our future together. So that's one thing, is kind of like making it something bigger. But for some of you, there's challenges. Maybe a loss of a loved one in your life, a parent, a child, a relative that meant a lot. And this puts the relationship to the test. The Star card and the Nine of Wands are auspicious. Love finds a way. Communication helps. We see someone bouncing back. But you really need to lean into the communication here. One thing that I'm seeing here is an old pattern playing itself out, which is a feeling of being on the outside, of not being appreciated. So as a partner, you can basically just tell someone how much you love them and support them as they go through changes. But if you're the one that needs support, communicate it and say, I really could use your support. I need a listening ear. Do you have a minute? Ultimately, if you can get through this, then I see great things. But there is a challenge at the moment, and you have to prioritize the relationship. It's a two-way street. There's two pentacles. There's two people. So fight for what matters. Move with the changes. And as long as it's a dance with two people, you'll get through this. But if it's just one of you, then you can only do so much. And one of the important things this month is not to go to the breaking point. So they've got to fight too. Both of you are fighting, but if not like arguing, but like fighting for the relationship to make it work. Okay? Single and looking. This is a time where if you're looking for someone, you could find them. This is head over heels. This is karmic partnership, or like a Scorpio in your life. We have an Aquarius coming through here too. These are both connected to someone in your life that also has a deep, deep karmic connection. This is also, it can be connected to past lives. But what do I see right now? A little bit of a need for you to clear your space, your energy, your thoughts, your finances, possibly even, like get everything clear and clean. And then when you're ready, you can lean into this. There's multiple options. We also see a fire sign. So we have most of the elements, like we have water, fire, and air coming through. You have no lack of options, but are you ready right now? I don't know if you are right now with the Tower. I think it would be better to give it 3 or 4 weeks, and then you can leverage one of these. Or if you start something new, if you're head over heels, slow down. Slow down and feel it out a little bit more, okay? Can you find someone? Yes, but I think you should slow down. That's what I'm going to stay at. For those that are single and happy, good for you. You can focus instead on letting the dust settle in your life, maybe making a necessary move, getting your health on track, getting your finances on track, and just taking some time to relax and to recalibrate. Let's move on to your destiny card, where you have 2 runic messages coming forth. The first one is Fehu, and it says cattle, creation, and wealth. Actually quite auspicious. So if there's something that you're trying to create or move forth, this card is showing that now is a great time to do that. So for all the people that are single and happy, or retired, or not putting too much energy in other aspects of your life, you can really start to birth something new, okay? The second runic card, try to say that 5 times fast, is connected to the vulture, actually, because we have seasons, cycle, and harvest. So the vulture was about cycles, opportunity, and distress. So when you're able to see the cycles and understand the season piece, which is there are ebbs and flows, there's going to be ups and downs. When you can see the pattern, then the current situation, which could be illustrated by either the Death or the Tower card, it's not such a big deal, because to every season, turn, like that song and like that quote. So just allow yourself to take in this moment, but not to get absorbed or distracted too much by it. The harvest piece does tell us that in the long run, something good is coming. And when we're looking at all the resources and some of the challenges associated with that, it looks like that's going to shift as well. Now is your chance to ask one final question. Anything that you have in mind, go ahead and put that out there, and I'm going to shuffle the cards and see what Spirit has to say. Two of Swords. So for those of you that asked me kind of like a yes or no question, this one is a no or a not yet. Why, you ask? Because something hasn't revealed itself, because there might be a better option on the table. The Two of Swords typically shows that neither is enticing. This is contrary to this, where they both may be equally enticing or you're just not certain. This, it's like, I don't know if I want either. So you don't have to do this or something else. You could find a third option. Get inquisitive with the Two of Swords. If you find that something is unclear, unfair, or unresolved, become the Queen of Swords. Say, I have some questions. I have some ideas. What do you think? Use your voice. You can also get out the binoculars and look around and say, what am I missing in the horizon? Lean into like the 2 or 3 of Wands energy, where you're starting to look around for a synchronicity. And then ultimately, when you have your clarity, take one of those 2 swords and say, okay, now let's go for this. So hopefully that helped you out. This was such a pleasure to be able to read. There were so many significant messages and cards coming through. I feel like this is going to be a very transformative month for you. Thank you so much for letting me spend some time with you. I appreciate you. Let's bring in some celebratory, whatever this is called, confetti. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. And if you want to show some support, there's a couple ways you can do this. First of all, you can subscribe and leave a comment. It's free, but it helps so much. It helps me know what matters, helps other people find it, because YouTube basically serves it up to more people. So thank you. You can give back with a sticker in your comment, or if you join the live stream, which I do every Sunday, you can do a super sticker in the live. You can also become a member. Or if you like to go off channel and support me on PayPal, here's the address for that. And also you can join me on social media. It's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh. And if you're like, Nicholas, I can't remember all these links, you can go to my website. All of this also is linked up in the description. And you'll notice if you go to the profile page here on YouTube, they're also linked there. There's like 13 links, and all of the stuff you could need, and then some is there. And that, my friends, is everything. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic rest of this month, and I'll see you soon.